A gut-wrenching crime. The bodies of two children found in the back of their aunt's car.
And now, for the first time, we are hearing from the family about this heinous crime.
It started as a routine traffic stop just before midnight on July 28, 2021, in Essex, Maryland. A Baltimore County officer had pulled over a dark sedan for speeding, 45 in a 35 zone, and behind the wheel was 33-year-old Nicole Michelle Johnson. The officer expected a warning, maybe a citation, but as he checked the license and registration, something didn't add up. The tags were fake, the car wasn't registered, and Nicole didn't have a valid license. He told her the car would have to be towed. She nodded, then quietly said something he didn't understand. "Watch tomorrow," she murmured. "Y'all will see me on the news." When she opened the trunk to gather her belongings, a sour, heavy odor drifted into the air. The officer hesitated, then asked what it was. Nicole said it was just dirty clothes. It's been sitting there for months. Another officer approached to check for himself. He leaned closer, breathing through his sleeve. "That doesn't smell like dirty clothes," he said. They asked her to open the bags. She peeled away layers of trash, blankets, and plastic, and then stopped. One of the officers took over, slicing through the final wrap. "It's a baby!" he shouted. In that instant, the stop was no longer routine. And what officers would find next inside that trunk would uncover a story far more tragic than anyone could have imagined. What began as a simple speeding stop would reveal a story that had been hidden for more than a year, and two children no one had ever reported missing. But before we begin, if you find this video interesting, please give it a like at the end and tell me what you think about the case. It really helps the channel. Let me know in the comments where you're watching from. And don't forget to subscribe for more. Thank you. This video is created solely for educational and documentary purposes. It does not endorse, glorify, or condone any of the criminal actions or individuals described in this case. Viewer discretion is advised. It was just after 11 that night when a Baltimore County patrol officer noticed a black sedan moving faster than the limit allowed. The radar read 45 in a 35 zone, so he signaled for the vehicle to pull over near Eastern Boulevard in Essex, Maryland. The stop looked ordinary, the kind that happened dozens of times a week on that stretch of road. But as the officer walked toward the driver's window, nothing about what followed would be ordinary at all. Inside the car sat Nicole Michelle Johnson, 33 years old, behind the wheel, and beside her was a woman later identified as Kazadi Bibi Chibola, a quiet passenger who barely spoke. The officer greeted them politely and asked, "You know why I pulled you over?" Nicole shook her head. "No." The officer replied, "You were doing well over 40. Nicole apologized quickly, her voice uneven, insisting she hadn't meant to speed. She said softly, "I swear I only got over 40. When asked for her license and registration, she handed over a Maryland ID card. But as the officer checked his system, the information didn't match up. The vehicle wasn't registered. The tags on the car were fake West Virginia temporary plates, and there was no active insurance. The officer returned to the window, his tone professional but firm, explaining that the car would have to be towed. Nicole looked startled, then defeated. "Can I get my stuff out of it?" she asked. He nodded. "Yes, you can get everything out." She rambled about how she had been living in the car, moving between motels, trying to make ends meet, and then, almost under her breath, she said something that froze the officer mid-step. "Watch tomorrow," she muttered. "Y'all gonna see me on the news. I swear." The officer paused. It was an odd comment, but he didn't know what to make of it yet. He continued filling out paperwork, planning to call for a tow. When the tow truck was requested, the officer told her she could remove anything personal from the vehicle before it was taken. She nodded and walked to the back. The trunk clicked open. A sour, thick odor drifted out immediately. It was the kind of smell that made people stop talking mid-sentence. The officer frowned and called another officer over. "Come here," he said quietly, lowering his voice. "See what you smell. Not drugs, just see." The second officer stepped closer, leaned in slightly, then pulled back, covering his mouth with his sleeve. "Something's dead," he murmured. Nicole insisted it was nothing. "It's just a bunch of dirty clothes," she said, waving her hand. "Been sitting there for months." But the officers weren't convinced. The smell was too strong, too distinct. They asked her to open one of the bags. She hesitated, fumbling with the layers of plastic and old blankets. "You're gonna have to open that up all the way," the officer told her. "I'm about to show you." she replied quickly.
Huh?
What is this?
A bunch of dirty clothes. A bunch of dirty.
That don't smell like dirty clothes.
Huh?
That don't smell like dirty clothes.
What do you mean? I'm about to show you. I'm about to show you. I'm about to show you right now. There's a bunch of dirty blankets. In there for months and months and months and months and months.
You gonna have to, ma'am, I'm honest, you gonna have to open that up all the way.
I'm about to open it up all the way.
Yeah, you gonna have to open it up all the way for me.
Bugs and stuff all over it and everything. Because it's bugs and stuff over it and everything.
I know, but I don't know what it is though.
Literally ripping through all the nails so we can see all the dirty stuff. I don't think that a guilty person would be doing this wrong. If I take all my stuff out, where am I gonna?
I just need this right here is drawing my attention to it, so I'm gonna have to. I need to see it.
I know.
Just feel it.
That's why I'm trying to show you. I'm telling you, you're just gonna find a bunch of dirty blankets.
Yeah, but I need to. I need to know what that smell is.
I am. I'm about to show you.
I'm about to show you right now. She pulled at the corner of a garbage bag, revealing another layer beneath it. What is that? The officer asked. Nicole shook her head. Just dirty blankets. The officer looked closer. No, open. Pull it out. Her hands trembled as she lifted a black trash bag and a plastic tote from the trunk. There were maggots on the surface. Then came the moment that silenced the entire roadside. It's a baby. The words broke the night like a crack of thunder. Another officer froze beside him, unable to speak. Nicole gasped, took 2 steps back, and bolted. The officer shouted for her to stop, and within seconds, they caught her and pulled her down. Her voice cracked as she yelled, "It's not mine!" What did I do? BB stood nearby, shaking, trying to explain she didn't know anything. Both women were placed in handcuffs. For a long moment, no one said a word. The officers stepped away from the trunk, their faces pale, their voices low. One radioed for backup, another turned his back and took a deep breath, trying to steady himself. The smell still lingered in the air. What began as a speeding ticket had just turned into a crime scene, and although the officers didn't yet realize it, what they had found inside that trunk would expose a chain of neglect, violence, and silence that had gone on for more than a year, and had already taken 2 young lives. Then they were taken for interrogation. Nicole said she had been in Essex that night to meet a man. She described it vaguely. A date, she called it. She said her friend BB had been with her, waiting in the car. The detective listened, letting her talk, though he knew the story didn't align with the scene at the roadside. Nicole shifted between half smiles and tears that never fully formed, her tone swinging from calm to defensive. Then, after a long pause, she looked up and said, "I already know what this is about." The detective stayed quiet, giving her space. Nicole looked down at her hands and whispered, "It was an accident." The detective leaned forward gently. "Tell me about what happened," he said. Nicole swallowed hard, her voice shaking. "I gave her a beating," she said quietly, almost under her breath. Then she wasn't saying anything. She said her niece, 7-year-old Jocelyn Johnson, had gotten in trouble for taking things out of the refrigerator and for doing things she wasn't supposed to. She said she'd punished her before for it, but this time she was already angry about other things, about her life, her situation, her family.
She was taking things like from the refrigerator and stuff.
She was doing all kinds of stuff.
Okay.
Like she was taking stuff. Like she was getting the boy in trouble. Like she was just doing all kinds.
And you
of
disciplined her.
Yes.
Okay.
And it went too far.
Okay. How many times do you think you might have hit her?
I don't know. But I know she fell.
Fell on what?
On the floor.
Was she standing on something? How was she?
She was just standing up straight.
Okay. And where did you hit her?
I just started doing that.
Okay. Like punching her in the head?
No.
Or
No.
where?
Like, I think I maybe slapped her in the face, but I didn't punch her in the head. Like, it was more like me hitting on her body, and then she fell.
How did she fall? Backwards? Forwards? Sideways? On her head?
I know she had her head, but I can't remember exactly how it was that she fell.
She said once she noticed that her niece was unresponsive, she laid her in the bed and then laid next to her. When describing what happened to her nephew, Larry O'Neill, she said that she had hit him in the knee area and then he started to bleed, and later she said that he asked her to lay him down in the back of the car.
"I was probably more frustrated than I should have been," she said. I hit her a few times. Not hard at first. Then she fell. The detective asked how the child had fallen. Nicole looked away. She hit her head on the floor, she murmured. It was hard. The floor was hard. He asked what she did after that. Nicole said she had panicked. She tried to bump her chest, thinking maybe it would wake her up. Then she laid the girl on the bed beside her and stayed there. I laid in the bed with her, she said softly. She was quiet. I thought she would wake up. When asked how long she stayed like that, Nicole said she didn't know. She mentioned it was sometime around May 2020, more than a year before her arrest. I didn't know what to do, she said, so I put her in a suitcase. I couldn't leave her. She said the suitcase stayed with her through several moves, from motel to motel, and then into the car. She didn't call anyone, didn't tell her sister, didn't tell her mother. She kept living with the child's remains near her every day. When the detective asked why, she shook her head. I just couldn't face it. Then the detective asked about the second child, her nephew, 5-year-old Larry O'Neill III. Nicole called him by his nickname, Stink. Her tone softened when she said his name. He was always with me, she said. He didn't want to go anywhere else. The detective asked when he died. Nicole hesitated again, then said it was about a year after Jocelyn. Around May last year, she said. He was just sitting there playing. The detective asked her to explain what happened. Nicole said she thought he had hurt his leg somehow, that there was blood on his clothes, but she didn't notice right away. I think something hit him in the leg, she said vaguely. I saw the blood later. The detective asked if she had struck him. She didn't answer at first, then said she had swung at him when she was angry but didn't think she had hurt him badly. He was just getting sleepy, she said. Then he looked at me and said, "Honey, can you lay me down?" She said she helped him lie down on the back seat of the car, then stepped out to smoke a cigarette. When I came back, she said quietly, he was gone. Nicole said she didn't call anyone. She didn't move his body for days. Then she placed him in a plastic bin beside the suitcase that already held his sister. I didn't know what to do, she repeated. Both children, the detective later confirmed, had been in that trunk for months, possibly longer, as Nicole continued to live, drive, and move between motels with their remains only a few feet behind her. When asked about her family, Nicole's tone hardened. She started to talk about her sister, Deshelle Johnson, the children's mother. She left them with me, Nicole said bitterly. She said she couldn't take care of them. I never asked for them. She said Deshelle was supposed to pick them up but never came. She didn't even care, Nicole added. I was doing everything alone. Then she shifted blame again, this time to her own mother, Michelle Johnson. She told me not to give that girl her kids, Nicole said. I was going to give them back, but my mother told me not to. The detective listened carefully, but he could already see the contradiction. Nicole was angry at her family for leaving her with responsibility, but now the truth was far heavier than she wanted to admit. However, the story behind the tragedy didn't begin on the night of the traffic stop. It started years earlier, with two sisters who had already been caught in a cycle of instability long before the police ever opened that trunk. Back in 2019, Deshelle Johnson, Nicole's younger sister, had reached a breaking point. She was struggling, moving between jobs, unstable housing, and a newborn child who had already drawn the attention of social services. The Department of Social Services had stepped in after reports of neglect, and Deshelle was told she needed stability before she could keep all three of her children together. So when Nicole offered to help by taking the older two, Jocelyn and Larry, Deshelle agreed. She believed it would be temporary, just a few months until she could get back on her feet. At first, she stayed in contact. She sent Nicole small amounts of money through text messages, asking about the kids, checking if they were eating, if they were in school. Nicole replied briefly, never giving much detail but assuring her that everything was fine. Then, the messages stopped. Deshelle tried calling but answered. She tried again and again. Eventually, she was blocked. When she reached out to other relatives, no one knew where Nicole was living anymore. Months passed, then a year. Deshelle said later that she thought about going to the police, but she was scared that DSS would take her newborn away if they learned she couldn't account for her older children. So she waited, hoping Nicole would reach out again. She never did. The days following Nicole Johnson's arrest were consumed by forensic work and endless documentation. Detectives had already secured the car, sealing it under evidence tape, and by the next morning, the Baltimore County Crime Lab began its analysis. The smell that had first drawn the officers to the trunk was still there, faint now, but unmistakable. Inside the containers, technicians found what remained of 7-year-old Jocelyn Johnson and her 5-year-old brother, Larry O'Neill III. The medical examiner's report came back within a week, and its details left even the most seasoned investigators quiet. Jocelyn weighed just 18 pounds, the average weight of a toddler half her age. Larry weighed 21 pounds also. Neither child had been enrolled in school for over a year, and neither had recent medical records. It was as if they had disappeared from every system designed to protect them. Toxicology results revealed no drugs or chemicals, nothing to suggest accidental poisoning. Instead, the findings pointed clearly toward prolonged neglect. The final ruling from the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner listed the cause of death for both as homicide. By early 2022, the investigation into Nicole Johnson's case had expanded into a full criminal indictment. Prosecutors from Baltimore County filed a total of 14 charges against her, including 2 counts of first-degree CA resulting in death, several counts of child neglect, and multiple counts related to the improper disposal and concealment of human remains. The case drew careful legal attention because of how long the children had been missing without anyone noticing. Nicole's friend, Kazadi Bibi Chibola, who had been in the passenger seat during the traffic stop, was questioned repeatedly but eventually cleared. Investigators confirmed she had no knowledge of what was in the trunk. She was released after 48 hours in custody and later gave a brief statement describing her confusion that night, saying she thought Nicole was simply moving belongings between homes. As months turned into years, hearings were delayed, first for evidence review, then for competency evaluations. In August 2024, Nicole entered a plea agreement with the state of Maryland. She pleaded guilty to 2 counts of first-degree CA resulting in death, while prosecutors agreed to drop the remaining counts. It spared her a full jury trial, but ensured a lengthy sentence. The plea meant that the facts would stand as uncontested, that both children had died under her care, and that she had concealed their deaths for over a year. On February 10th, 2025, nearly 4 years after the traffic stop, Nicole Johnson stood before Judge Nancy Purpura in the Baltimore County Circuit Court for sentencing. She sentenced Nicole to life in prison, suspending all but 50 years, followed by 5 years of supervised probation upon release. The decision balanced legal severity with a recognition of plea cooperation, but to most observers, it still felt symbolic, a measure of justice in a story defined by years of neglect. For her sister Deschel, the grief remains layered, guilt for trusting family, anger at herself, and the emptiness left behind. For their grandmother, Michelle Johnson, interviews stopped long ago, but somewhere in Maryland she still cries, not just for the grandchildren she lost, but for the daughters who never learned how to love each other or themselves. And as the case file closed, one quiet line from a detective's report seemed to summarize it best. For 2 children who vanished without a report, justice came late, but it came, and now we'd like to hear from you. What do you think could have changed the outcome of this case? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We read every one of them, because every perspective matters. If this story moved you, take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for spending this time with us. We'll see you in the next one.